What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G with Two Good Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. So welcome back to another episode, and this episode is App-itorium. I don't feel like I've been doing enough of them, and I really enjoy the whole idea of board games that get turned into phone app games. And I'll try to do some more of these, and I was thinking to myself today, hey, wait a second. It's almost Halloween, and I haven't done anything about app board games for Halloween. So here I am. There's a lot of great app games out there. Carcassonne, Settlers of Catan, Ticket to Ride, Galaxy Trucker, and they're all great versions, just ported right over beautifully. And I think I want to talk about a few of the horror games. So, why don't you join me down the table and we'll talk about it. Thank you for joining me down at the table. Alright, so I wanted to talk about app games based on board games, board app games, I guess we'd call them. And these are specifically games that are, I think, good for, well, any time, but especially right now for Halloween. So there's tons of app games. My goodness, we got tons and tons and tons of app games. Of course, as you may have guessed, my favorite ones are the ones that are basically just ports of board games that I like. Actually, one of the ones I'm going to talk about right now, I don't even have, physically speaking. And I realize that these app games are really good for finding out if you like a game, especially since they're either free or just a couple of bucks, while the physical copies, 20, 30, 40 bucks or more, depending on what game you're looking at. So I want to talk about games for Halloween. So these app games can be played solo, and most of them, I'm pretty sure, can be also played online with other people, which is really important to one of the ones I'm gonna talk about. But there's a lot of app games out there that'll keep you entertained, and maybe while you're waiting for the party to show up, maybe while you're in transit to the party you're going to, something that'll keep you in the Halloween and specifically horror state of mind for gaming. Alright, so there's no rhyme or reason to this list as far as numbering goes. So don't look into it like, oh, well, that was the number one game he said about the apps. And this is just exactly how it came to me. There's nothing else to look into as far as the numbering system is. I'm not even going to actually verbalize the numbering of it beyond what I'm doing right now. So I'll start with the first one that had its own special, its own episode, and that is Elder Sign. I love the Elder Sign board game. It is fast and fun, fast compared to Arkham Horror. And the app I love even more because, like with all these app games, the system is taking care of all the little fiddliness, all the things that you got to keep track of during the course of the game, from tokens in play to conditions that everyone has to, in this particular game, midnight effects that'll happen, and it's a lot. And these games, like this one in particular, take care of all of that for you. So it makes the game fly. The actual board game, I don't think I've ever killed in under 2 hours, maybe? Really? And I think, I guess I'm including the setup time. It's not a, bang down, throw it, and it's ready, to go kind of game. It has a few minutes it's going to take you to set everything up, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 at the most if you're not used to setting the game up. And again, with the app, I just fly right through this game, and it feels so much like the game. In fact, I learned something that I was playing wrong. In the game, we were using a trading action. There was no trading action in the game. when it wasn't in the app, I went back to the game, I went back to the physical rules, and sure enough, there's nothing about trading. Which still kind of ticks me off a little bit. I mean, if you're in the same spot, and you got an action, and you got something, why can't you give it to another player, to another investigator? Yeah, so we house ruled that in for the board game. But you can't do that for the app game. The app games are so perfect in teaching you the board game. That's another great aspect of playing these app games. So the Elder Sign Omens game, it has a couple of expansions that you can buy for it with new Elder Beings and new Investigators and new Encounter cards and new Otherworld cards that'll all be in the game. And you don't even need that. I mean, I'm still working just off the base game of it, and I'm still having tons of fun on this thing. Still trying to find out the right combination of investigators that are best suited for which Elder Being that we're taking out. And it feels like literally, and I'm using that word correctly, non-figuratively, I am literally feeling like I'm at the table playing the actual game. So that's really awesome. That'll keep you busy for a half hour, 45 minutes maybe, I guess. And perfect. Wow, perfect for a Halloween theme. It really is. So a good app game for Halloween to play is definitely the Elder Sign Omens. You're gonna like that. Now, another game that you definitely are gonna think has a Halloween feel to it is the app version of the popular board game Mysterio. Mysterium is a clue-like game. It's a murder mystery. But the big difference, because that's about where the similarities end, that's for sure. The big difference is you are part of a group of psychics who all go to the crime scene, and you're trying to communicate with the ghost of the victim to find out what happened. And one player will play the ghost, giving out the clues that everyone has to interpret. And it's all based on these really kind of surreal imagery. What's an imagery? These really surreal imagery that's on the cards that the ghost gets to hand out. It really makes you think. It's a test in artistic interpretation and creativity. Yeah, it is. And the app game is a great, it's identical to the board game. It really is. When you play, the one thing is, if you're playing solo in Mysterium, the game is going to AI the ghost, and it's not always as easy as it is with a human. But if you link up and you play online, you can play with other players, and someone can then be the ghost giving out the clues to the psychics. So you can get it either way. You can play the game for either way of the feel. And again, like I just said before, it's a great way to learn the game. You play this game solo a couple of times, you learn the game, you go on, you play with some other players for another couple of times, and you're good. You're going to know the game. If you have a physical copy of the game, you can never have played it before, and throw it down, and you're going to be able to teach all your buddies how to play the game. It's really that straightforward of a port. So it gives you that really good feel of like a seance. Definitely has that ghost and seance feel, and that's perfect for Halloween. I mean, Houdini's wife was holding a seance for most of her life after he died on Halloween. So it's very fitting. I got one more I want to point out. All right, so the last one I don't own a physical copy of. So this is actually a perfect example of what I've been saying. I don't own a physical copy of it. And let me make sure I pronounce this right, because I know I was saying it apparently wrong from what I've seen from some other people. Onirim. I was saying Onirim. Apparently it's Onirim. It's a 1 or 2 player game, primarily designed as a solo solitary game that can be double played. Which I think, first of all, is a nice twist on how most games are multiplayer games. But they make a solo version of the rules, a solo variant in the back of the book. It's like, oh, well, if you have to play alone, you could try playing it like this. You know, and it kind of makes it feel like it doesn't matter. You know, it was just a toss-away idea. So this is the exact opposite, which I guess I'm not saying is anything very good for the 2-player version, but that's not the point. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying it for the other reason, is how perfect that makes it as a 1-player game, because it was designed and thought of and conceptualized as a solitary game. So, Onirim. It's a deck timer game. Now, I've mentioned we've done a few videos on deck timer games, such as Friday and One Deck Dungeon immediately come to mind, and it uses that same system that you are a dreamer and you are trapped in the dream realm, and you're trying to escape, and there's 4 doors that you have to get through twice, each of them. So you gotta get through 8 doors, 4 different colors, and meanwhile nightmares are trying to get you, and the deck is the timer, and you have to get sets of color, not necessarily of suits, because you can't play the same suit back to back, but you play the same color back to back. So that adds in a little bit of strategy. And I cannot compare this to the board game since I don't have the board game, but playing this on the app, I want the board game. I definitely want it for the collection. I think it's going to be a great addition to the solitary board games that I've been doing so many videos on. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's a fast game. You're gonna play the app in like 15 minutes. I'll say 15, maybe 20 the first game, where you're going through the tutorial and you're learning how it's played. But it's gonna play out fast enough, and it's gonna be, you know, just that level of frustrating enough to make you want to dive in again without going over the line where you're just like, it's like, I don't care about this anymore. Stupid game, too tough. It finds the balance. It finds the balance pretty well, and it doesn't. Well, it hasn't taken me to that extreme level yet. Every time I do lose in the game, it definitely gives me that feel like I just want to jump right back in, do it again. I know the mistakes I made, or I know the bad luck that I was dealt in how the cards come out, because that plays a factor as well. No matter how much you strategize in a card game or a dice game, luck is going to be a factor. But it's a good game. It'll definitely give you that Halloween vibe with the whole nightmares and everything like that. So you're gonna want to check that out. So there you go. Three good app games. Fun app games. You decide. You let me know if you think they're great. I think they're great, but I'll go so far as to say that at least they're good. And you're going to have fun with them. You'll enjoy them. And like I said, they're perfectly themed for Halloween. So go to town, you ghouls and ghasts. So thank you, everyone, for following us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much for subscribing to Two Gun Pixie and for liking everything. And you know what? Thank you so much for sharing our YouTube videos. That means the world to us. That's actually the best compliment we ever get, is when we see that something got shared. Wow. So thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a good Halloween. And if you're watching this and it's not Halloween or near Halloween, just have a good night. Enjoy your horror, my friends. I'm your buddy Big Giant G, but Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, my friends. I am out of here.